All right, what's up, everyone? Kevin here. We're back for the Sunday night showdown. Packers, Chiefs. Let's do this. All right. So hopefully everybody's crushing the main slate right now. Things have looked good. I mean, we went all in on Latavius Murray. That worked out pretty well today. I think one of my favorites was the big emphasis on Jameis Winston and the whole Bucs passing attack in general. That was awesome. Jameis Winston at 1% ownership. What the fuck was that about? Unfortunately, the flip side of that game, while the Titans kept up really nicely, it wasn't Davis or Brown that really was doing most of the damage. So that was unfortunate. A couple of other unfortunate ones, some good ones. Barkley, Fournette worked out pretty well. Chris Carson. Of course, Chase Edmonds gets hurt, but he was looking like shit anyway. That was always a bad matchup. Always was sketchy with Chase Edmonds. You don't really want to play running backs at the Saints. And Ty Johnson. Ty Johnson, he had a bad game, but on Fanduel, what are you going to do? $5K. Like, for that price, you almost had to play him. If he would have had a goal line opportunity, he gets in, you get 10 points. But, that is what it is. So hopefully everybody's doing really well on the main slate. But now we're going to talk about the showdown, where the monies are made. Now, before I get into actually breaking down this game, I want to, this week I was showing a lot of people how I've been playing these satellites and, taking down tons of tickets, and they're very soft. They're generally around these showdowns. And, I want you guys to just pay attention to these. I'm actually going to go back to the lobby here and see if I can find some of these for you. Just, I don't know if they're, these satellites are floating around. I'm not seeing great ones here. Usually we'll see a better one. Either more will pop up. You're seeing little ones. 300 tickets, 1,000 entries. Like, these are very beatable. But a lot of times you'll see massive ones too. This size. 5 cent, 10 cent ones. I'm not seeing them right now. That'll probably be for the Monday night game. They do bigger ones. But anyway, let's get into it. We've got the Packers taking on the Chiefs. And it's very important to understand, everybody's watching the Packers coming off of that massive offensive juggernaut passing game explosion last week. And, I think the obvious and the first thought that came to my head is, I'm going to fucking load up on Aaron Rodgers, 100%, right? There's no Mahomes here. So, who to stars? Well, it's only Aaron Rodgers. But I think it's worth noting a couple things. First of all, the Chiefs are terrible versus the run. 22nd DVOA, 25th in yards allowed per carry. They're number one against the pass in DVOA, first overall. So their last 29th, I'm sorry, I said it wrong, 29th DVOA versus the run, first versus the pass. So the softest approach for the Packers is not going to be through the air. It's going to be via the run in this game. It's important to make note of that, because I don't think the field is thinking this at all. Now, defensively, the Packers are a little bit softer versus the run than the pass as well, although it's not as dramatic as what we see with the Packers. Hell yeah, Vince, I'm doing both sides. I just start with FanDuel. It's easier. I feel confident, Dev Shark, that we're going to help you pay your mortgage tonight with this lineup. I feel confident. So let's see if we can start to get this going. Now, the first thing I always do, take a look at Josh, DFS up north. He puts together the notes for the showdowns for us, and he's spectacular at this. Love Josh. He's also got a video that came out as well. I didn't realize he was doing a video as well tonight, so oops. But he's got a video kind of showing how to set up the Dom station. I'll do a little bit of that too. But, and Josh is really high on Aaron Rodgers this week, and kind of just going to sprinkle in some of these turds on FanDuel, a little Matt Moore, a little Aaron Jones, a little Reek, and a little Shady McCoy. So you've got your two primary running backs here. You've got the number one sort of weapon in the passing game for either team right there, and then the two quarterbacks. Now, what I'm going to say is, the way I'm going to change it up for my entries, I'm just going to lean a little bit harder on this run game than I think what Josh has planned, just for me personally. As I kind of looked over the slate, the first thing that came to mind is just there's a lot of recency bias going on because Rodgers broke the slate last week, right? He went crazy, and that's momentum. Can you carry it forward? There's definitely a possibility that will happen. Definitely a possibility that will happen. But I always like to look at the path of least resistance. And again, on FanDuel especially, we like these running backs. They do a lot. Now, the problem with both teams is the running back situations are very big splits. With the Packers, they're going to split between, let's bring these up so we can look at the numbers here. But you're going to see a split on the Packers between, where is he? Jones and Williams. Now, Jones, 12 carries, 4 targets last week. Okay. Let's see what Williams did. 3 carries, 4 targets. So, again, unless something weird happens, we can expect more of like a 65-35 kind of split between these two guys. That puts Jamal Williams squarely in, lock him in territory. He's a little bit expensive up here. But I'm sorry, that Aaron Jones, he's a little expensive up here, but we can either use him or Rodgers or Moore, I think, as the MVP this week. Those are my 3 favorites. The purpose of this lineup, I'll throw now. How do you break it down? So Aaron Rodgers has the highest floor because he's Aaron Rodgers. Matt Moore, I think, has a pretty high floor too, in the sense that he's going to be throwing a lot, and I have a hard time seeing where he doesn't at least, do a little something. He could throw a touchdown. I mean, he can get a couple interceptions, still throw some touchdowns. And then, of course, Aaron Jones. If the Packers are attacking the way you should against the Chiefs, it's probably going to be using this guy. So here's the deal. You want to try to squeeze all 3 of these in here? That's not the worst idea. The problem is now we've got to find a turd. And there aren't many. So it's going to be challenging to put a lineup together like this. Now I'll show you what I mean. Number one, normally what I'd want to do here in a cash game is just put the 2 kickers in. But the problem is the kickers are priced higher than this. So you can't really get them in there. So now I've got to either consider, I just have to consider a different approach, right? You'd have to get rid of Matt Moore, and you can get, a kicker in there, and a Jamal Williams in there, or some other approach. But before I get too deep into that, let's just break down each team and the weapons, because it's important to know who's who. So for the Packers, Valdez-Scantling and Geronimo Allison are going to be in the game. What we don't know is if Jake Kumaro or Lazard are going to be the WR3. We don't know this. It's unclear. It's going to be one of those 2 guys. And the reason I say we don't know it is because Kumaro had been ahead of Lazard, but Lazard's been getting more looks. So I don't know. Not sure. For the running game for the Packers, it's Williams and Aaron Jones. And then, of course, you have the tight ends. I mean, mainly it's just Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham has done a whole lot, so I'm not get too excited about him. For the Chiefs, Sammy Watkins is back this week, so you got their full complement of weapons on the table. With the full complement of weapons, we're talking about Tyreek Hill, Sammy Watkins, Demarcus Robinson, Travis Kelce, and then some mix of LaShawn McCoy as the primary running back with Damian Williams mixing in as the, pass-catching running back. And then there's a third D. Williams, Darrell Williams in there, just to mess you up and try to fuck you up in terms of who you're clear. Can you really tell which one's which? I have to remind myself every time. I'm like, Damian, Darrell, which one's the starter? Which one's... I don't fucking know. If you read the points per game average, Darrell looks like the guy, but it's really Damian. It's a disaster with the Williams brothers. So that's it. Those are our 2 offenses. There's not a lot of turds to mess around with. Pringle, No more popping Pringles. That's over. Mercedes Lewis, you want to put a turd if you're making 150? You could put a couple shares of him. I like Mercedes a little more, knowing that, Tanyan, and not that fucking matters. Like Tanyan, what's he doing? And that's it. There's no more. You're not finding anybody else down here. There's no more. So this is not a turds game. Too many Williams. I don't know the difference between all these Williams. Buffalo was asking about Moore and the time in Miami. Like that was like 2011. Like my memory, I don't know. I don't remember. He's not that good, is all we know. But Moore is a veteran. Here's the deal with Moore. It's a lot better than the situation where, like, he's more like a Schwab than he is like a Luke Falk. He's a competent veteran that has started in the National Football League in his career. I think he's going to do just great. Like, he'll be just fine. Yeah, Antoine's mentioning name. I don't even know who those guys are. Yelder. I don't know who. Danny Vitale. Like, what, you think they're really rolling out the fourth string? Well, there you go. He got a target last week. So, yeah, you're right. Good call, Antoine. You found the fullback. Who's the other one? Yelder. You take a shot. I mean, don't take too many shots at this guy. I mean, he got a couple targets. Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, you can play Tyreek at MVP. Definitely. I mean, we know what Tyreek is capable of doing. He's capable of breaking a slate. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. So yes, he's playable there. Don't have a lot of that, but he's playable there. What I'm trying to do is I'm sitting here trying to contemplate a cash lineup, but I can't imagine really wanting to make a lineup without these three. And the problem is, if you do that, you're pretty much stuck with, I mean, it's very tough. You could either go Watkins, Geronimo, but I don't like putting two volatile pass catchers in here if I don't have to. I'd really like to get Shady McCoy in there, but that sticks me with a Kumaro or a Damian Williams. Don't love it. So I'm not loving it. Not going to lie. Not loving it. I almost want to give up Aaron Rodgers in this cash lineup, and I don't like the idea of doing that at all. So it might not just come together for me. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to pull this off in terms of a cash lineup because I just hate it. I don't like the way it's coming together, the way the numbers fit. I feel like I need more, and I need Rodgers, and I need Aaron Jones in there. And the only way to make it work is either just to throw away a spot. I'd like to get the kicker in there. And then I only got 14K left. This is the problem. Why you do me like that? I need 16. I have to go with Reek. I don't like it. So yeah, I'll take a look at DraftKings in a minute because I'm not liking the pricing here on FanDuel. But all right, let's go through it on FanDuel and just. Buffalo's asking if Moore scores 20. Yes, I do think he's in the winning lineup. Is he the winning captain? That's not guaranteed. Or MVP? That's not guaranteed. Because again, an Aaron Jones at running back, if he scores 2 touchdowns and does what he's done before, not frequently, but what he's done, he's had a 45-point game, 16s, 14s, but a 45. Lots of this, lots of that, lots of 15, 16. He could score the most with the 16 for all we know. But yes, a Matt Moore with the 20-point game is definitely going to need to be in your lineup at 13-5, or I think he will be. All right, let's look real quick at the domination station, how to set it up for this one. So because I don't want to be all in on Aaron Rodgers, I like Aaron Rodgers, but I'm not ready to go all in on him. I think you have to get some exposure to some of these other guys. I might go 40 here. I might go 20 here on Jones. I might go 15%, maybe 20. Let's call it 20% here on Matt Moore. 20, 40, 80, 85. Who else do we even want to take a shot at? 90, 95, maybe Reek. We got a little Reek in there. So Jamal Williams we've got in there. Jamal Williams, he's broken the slate before. I don't think it's happening tonight. I don't mind Williams and Jones together in cash. I would not use them together in a tournament. That would be the first rule. In general, you don't really want that in a tournament. Although there is a script where the Packers just come in and smash, which is not what Vegas is predicting. But there is a script where the Packers come in and just smash and hold defensively, and they do a good job. And yes, in that kind of game script, it would really work out to have both of those guys in there, but I'm just not counting on that. I think this game will be played out a little bit closer than maybe. I don't think this is going to be like tomorrow night's game, which we have a smash game and we can go all in on one side or the other. Somebody's saying I can't see the video. Is anybody else having this issue? I don't know. All right, so taking a closer look here. Again, I've got my lineup set up. I've got about 40% Aaron Rodgers. If I'm going to have Aaron Rodgers in the captain, I want to set a rule. I want at least one of Reek. Not Reek. At least one of. I'm not doing at least two of this time because, like, Aaron Jones can catch a touchdown. They could spread the football around really well. So, actually, if I include Aaron Jones, I can do at least two of. But, like, these guys can spread the football. Allison, we can do Kumaro. Can do Graham. It's probably in at least two of, but I don't know. All right, fine. And we'll do this something similar for Moore. If he's captain MVP, I want no less than two of his pass catchers in the lineup with him. So we'll go with Reek, Kelsey. This is going to be especially hard, I think, on DraftKings to pick out which of the weapons to use with these guys. And I think I'm going to avoid it and just go with the quarterbacks, kickers, and running backs, and let the wide receivers do what they will for the most part. But I have to take a look and see what the salaries look like. Reek, Watkins, Kelsey, Damian. Marcus Robinson. So, yeah. Reek, Kelsey, Damian, Robinson. I'm trying to think who else is a pass catcher for these guys. I guess you could include Mecole Hardman. I don't want too much of him. Yeah. I don't want too much of that. All right, so now we can run 150 lineups. Let's go 50. And start to get a sense of the slate. So Frank is asking Jones, Williams, and Shady in one lineup. You can for a cash lineup. You can. In a cash lineup, you can run all of those guys. Technically, Jones and Williams together will get you all of the rushing points for the Packers. They're a little bit too expensive to use together. I don't think they're going to pay off. And Shady's going to get you most of the rushing work for the Chiefs. Yeah, Hardman's not starting, though, so be careful. He's a reserve player tonight with Sammy Watkins back. So, you don't want too much of a player like that in your lineup. He's not priced for what he's going to do. Right now, Damian Williams, 34%. No. So, all right. If I'm going to narrow this down a bit, I'm going to change to tournament mode. We have our prioritized check, number of lineups. And, looking at the flex plays, I'm just kind of looking. That's way too much Jamal Williams. I want to be more like 20% on him. With an Aaron Rodgers, I like him. I like him a lot. I like these guys. Damian Williams, let's put him at, I don't know, 10%. He hasn't done shit lately. Why would I load up on that guy? And then Reek, a little bit of Lazard, a little bit of Crosby. I like a little more Crosby. I'm going to change that to 9. This looks pretty good. So this is actually, Dom Station's spitting out pretty close to some fire here without having to do a whole lot of adjustment for me. I like the way that these lineups are coming out. I'm going to have to modify this a little bit more before I actually put these in. But, these look pretty good to me, even as they are right now. So let's jump over to DraftKings real quick, and we'll get a slightly different feel here. Let's take a look at Josh's notes for DraftKings. No, that's Dolphins Steelers. Here we go. Okay, let's take a look at the notes. And, a little bit better spread here with Rodgers, Reek, Jones, Kelsey, Matt Moore, even a little MVS and Shady here as potential captain plays. Core play is Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, want a lot of exposure to him. Aaron Jones, for me, is pretty close to core. You have to look at these salaries and start to make decisions. So let's just take a look and see how things fit together here on DraftKings. And the first thing I want to do is, put a, start to figure out, like, here's Geronimo Allison. He's pretty cheap. I want to look at who's cheap, right? So first of all, I can get a kicker in here. Okay, great. Rodgers, of course, we like him. Where's Matt Moore? Ooh, Matt Moore is very underpriced. That's interesting. So you can go with someone like Matt Moore, who has a high floor, as your potential captain here, and it leaves you a lot of money to spend on all these other weapons. I do like, where's my boy, Aaron? Here we go. Now we could just, build around this. So you can put in something like that. If I was trying to do a little bit higher floor, I might go with LaShawn McCoy here and then see what's left. So that leaves me Jamal Williams. So essentially, I can get more quarterback, kicker, running back. I will not be playing a defense in the captain. No. This isn't the Patriots. It's not for me. It's possible that Packers defense can have a really good game because Matt Moore is playing, but I don't know, Chiefs are at home, and I don't think they're going to implode. The Packers defense is not that good. They're fine, but they're not that. They're good, but they're not that good. So I don't think what we're going to see is a game where what we've seen in the last few weeks, where the Packers defense, or where the defense, it's Patriots tomorrow night. Let's save that for tomorrow because that's coming. It's coming tomorrow. Save it. We don't need that for tonight. We're going to do that one tomorrow. It's not for tonight. But tomorrow night we can play defense, but Steelers are going to crush Miami. But for right now, right here, this fits together like a little glove. I mean, it's really interesting. Now, I can... these 4, I think, to me, are like locked in cash. So it's a question of who do you want for the last 2 spots in your kind of cash approach. You could be more creative than this. You want to get this guy in there. You can use a turd. Chiefs defense is down here. What do I have? 6,500. The best turd in this area is probably Geronimo Allison. And then that gets you into Valdez-Scantling. So essentially, I can either go 2 kickers or both of the pass catchers, both of the primary pass catchers for the Packers. Allison, 5 targets. Scantling last week, 3 targets, but did a lot of damage with those 3. But the difference was those guys weren't on the field, but just for a few plays last week. Or, again, we can go with what we said initially, which is a run-heavy game plan, and that puts us on all the running back touchdowns. It's a little scary to want to play LaShawn McCoy on DraftKings because he doesn't get targeted a whole lot. So I can see another way of going where you might go something, like I said, a little more mixed in like that. I do think Jamal Williams has a pretty high DraftKings floor, but not necessarily. Like they can wind up just leaning on Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones has the much higher floor, so I don't mind this approach either, where you get Allison and Scantling in there in this mix. I actually kind of like that a lot. So that's what I'm going to lock in myself, I think, right now. Again, over to the Dom station. I don't really generally like to run 150 on DraftKings, or I don't always do it. Reason I don't is a lot more options. It's a lot harder to win it. The FanDuel ones are easier to win and take first place in, and so that's always nice. But I'd follow along with the exposures that Josh laid out for the most part. About 20, 25, 20%, let's say. I might be a little lower on Aaron Rodgers as a captain. He's a little too expensive for me here, but for DraftKings, I like the piece for floor more than ceiling most of the time. So I'd be at about 20%. I like any one of these. I love Matt Moore up there because he's cheap. Scantling, maybe a little bit of Shady up there, maybe a little less. I might be a little more spread out. So let's see how let's quickly kind of set this up. Let's say I didn't want as much Rodgers. Rodgers spreads the football around, so you can play him, but Reek, you got to give him some love. Kelsey's very playable there. He could break a slate. So 20, 40, 50, 60, 80. Is there anyone else I'd even consider? No. So that's good enough for me. Like, that's how I'd probably set it up. And then go over to the Flex tab. Wait, did I do that in Flex? Oh, shit. 2010. Great. Whoops. 20, 40, 60, 70, 80. Did I just change that? 20, 30, 50, 60, 80, 90, 95. Okay, that's what I did. You never know. So you put a cheap guy like that in there. And once you have that going, a little bit of that. And here we go. You get a nice little mix. I don't need to set too many rules on this one. But again, if we want to set rules, the two rules I said in the last one, at least one, if you have the quarterback and captain, I kind of want him with two of his pass catchers, mainly, again, because those pass catchers are going to be the captain on DraftKings unless two or three of them are actually beasting. So we don't want too much of these guys most of the time. But if we do it, we want to stack Rodgers with no less than two of, and then we'll go. I'm going to include his running backs in it. Because he throws to them. Jones had a beautiful, he's dropped. Jones almost every week has had a beautiful long pass, either caught for a touchdown or dropped. So I would have this rule in place for Rodgers. If Moore is in there, we're going to do a similar rule. Because if he's captain, that means 2 guys are going off that are catching passes from him. So with Matt Moore, again, it's Reek, Kelsey, Watkins, Marcus Robinson. I'm going to include Damian Williams in this mix, right? Now, if Reek is captain MVP, no less than one of Moore. If Kelsey is MVP, no less than one of Moore. Scantling, got to get some Rodgers in there. A little AA Ron. Who's the other one that I allowed? That's it. Allison. Okay. Now we're going to run 100 lineups. That's it. So now the lineups that are being generated are going to be generated around like, all right, this is a Matt Moore lineup. This will have 2 pass catchers for KC in here. There's Damian Williams. There's Travis Kelsey. Now, if I get too much Damian Williams, which I'm getting right now because it wants to default to him, that's a problem. I don't want a lot of Damian Williams. I only want 10%. So let's run that again. I've set a limit. I don't want a lot of Damian Williams. Now I'm going to run this a few more times and mess with the exposures a little bit and make sure I'm getting what I want. Do you guys have any more questions regarding tonight's slate, players, strategy, cash games, anything? Speak now. Let's try to make a we did kind of a cash lineup. We basically looked at some potential cash lineups for both sides. So hopefully that'll help everybody for tonight. And again, you have 2 ways to go: either build around Rodgers or build around the kicking game, and more like the passing game. I would say for the Chiefs, even under Moore as a contrarian strategy. And I think that the Packers' best bet is to attack via the run. That doesn't mean that Jones or Williams will both crush value, but I think one of them should. So that's kind of one of the approaches that I'm going to do. But build your lineups for a few different scenarios and tournaments and try to build the highest floor possible in cash. You saw for both sides have given out sort of 2 potential approaches for cash games. I'm not sure which one's the best. So I'm going to leave that up to you guys to make decisions. Hopefully make the right ones. Good luck tonight.